So, Catlin, how did you get interested in autochromes?
Yeah, so I've always been interested in photography, and my specialty was definitely 19th century photography, you know, album and daguerreotype, the origins of photography. Then when I started at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, the sort of aim of my project was to have 2 years to effectively scope and research a specific area. And originally I wanted to kind of look into women and early color photography, but that was so broad and encompassed so many different processes. And then I was speaking to my sort of colleagues there, and they said, we have this really wonderful collection of just autochromes. At that time, it was about 2,000 plates. And that was such a sort of contained, but large enough to really get to grips with. And that was my fascination, was a sort of this early color photography process that really I didn't know that much about. And you don't really think of color photography as being something available in those early, 1900s, and here it was. So it was really amazing.
So, you're interested in photography, you're interested in these early processes. There's not that many around, right? So somebody says, oh, well, we have this stuff down in the basement. Why don't you take a look at that, right? And, because it's very hard to look at these photographs. You can't just, we just pull them out, look at our phone, but are they cataloged? And there's 2,500 of them. So what's the very first day of the project like?
So we didn't know we had 2,500 of them when I started. So basically, before I could even look at them, I sort of did a bit of research and discovered how incredibly light sensitive they were. So to look at them in like the conditions that I'm in now would severely damage them. So effectively, I had to establish actually a method in order to view them before I could even look at them. So that was effectively working in near complete darkness on a light box.
Okay, so did they have a room there that you could do that in, or did you have to build a little lab? Did you?
I had to sort of take over a room. I had to basically say, this is my room for basically a year, and put up a sign that said light sensitive work, do not enter. And that was kind of where I lived for basically a year, was in this room in complete darkness.
Can you just back up for 1 second though? Who was collecting them, and how did they know, where were they coming from, and how do they know to keep them from the light, right? Because if you just open them up in the daylight, they might destroy them. So where was the collection coming from?
So the collection that I was working with is Royal Photographic Society collection. So the Victoria and Albert Museum took this collection on board in 2017. Before that, it had sort of been in Bath and then had been up in Bradford. And it's a collection that effectively was either donated to the Royal Photographic Society, or over time members of this Photographic Society gave their works in. It is evident that sometimes people didn't know you couldn't view them in light, because there are some that are damaged, but they are in strangely incredibly good condition, given that they were utilized like in exhibitions or projected. But it's now that we have these contemporary conservation concerns that we have to be so specific about how we view them.
So you have this dark room right now. Were you a photographer already? Were you familiar with the dark room, or was it just you set it up?
So I'm not a photographer by trade. I'm one of those people that if you can't do it, you study it, and that's kind of what I'm doing at the moment. I'm a curator of photography. So the dark room was a dark room in the sense that it was just pitch black. There wasn't any sort of photographic activities except me sitting there over light box, looking at them on this light box for about 60 seconds at a time, and I had to put them quickly away.
So there's 2,500 images, and they have to be viewed one at a time, right? Mm-hmm. So are they all packed in light sensitive boxes, or are they all thrown together? So
when you go into the stores, if you look online at Victoria and Albert photography stores, you see these massive amounts of shelves of all these tiny individual boxes. So some boxes would have sometimes up to 60 autochromes, and was incredibly heavy because they're glass plates, and some would only have one plate in them. So basically my job was to go through and see what condition they were stored in, because some were in original housing, which is fantastic because you get all that contextual information. Sometimes the photographer wrote notes on them, but other times this housing is quite bad. It will have things like felt or could fall apart. So my job was not only to find them, but to put them in these boxes that were better for their long-term storage, so we can continue to have these works for the future.
So you start looking at them, and are you at the beginning, are you surprised by what you see? It's because it's time travel in a way, right? Like it's complete
time travel. Yeah, I was really shocked because you know, you're expecting to see something, but and we tried so hard to, and I think we have done a very good job at showing them in the book, but when you actually see them on Lightbox, the colors are so vibrant and amazing. You feel like you could literally enter into the plates. And they've got these brilliant colors, and they're colors of, you know, historical architecture or sites that don't exist anymore, and the clothing that people were wearing in that Edwardian period that you're just not used to seeing in vibrant color. So I was really shocked. And some of the images, just, you know, by virtue of the fact they're in color, they look incredibly modern, even contemporary, just because they're in such vibrant color.
You know, when we're looking at the image now and we're seeing those colors, it's this potato process that fools the eye. It tricks the eye into seeing the color. Is this the way the color was first portrayed, or has it aged anyways and we're seeing something different, or is this exactly what it was like when it first came out?
It's definitely hard to say, and some of that is because we just don't know what they could have looked like originally. Thankfully, some were actually reproduced in the time of their creation in magazines, so we can actually compare and contrast those, and it does seem like the color has actually stayed pretty intact and faithful. Of course, there's works where they've been projected and that causes the emulsion to brown or tan, or sometimes they've got wet and the images go a green shade then, but most of the time it seems the color has stayed really intact. And it's fascinating because, as you say, it is this process that is made of potato starch granules. The color comes from these potato starch granules that are dyed red, green, and blue. And it seems such a rudimentary material to produce such brilliant colors and actual lasting color, but it has been able to stay quite intact. And you can still get this impression today of why people were so, you know, amazed by the color images. You know, people like Alfred Stieglitz said, you know, the world will go color mad because of these color images. And I think you can get that impression when you actually view them in life. Yeah.
Can you explain to the audience a little bit about that process? Because I think it's very esoteric for what you're talking about. You know, a little bit. I won't understand.
Yeah, sure. No. So the autochrome, yeah. So basically, since the 1890s, the Lumiere brothers, who are actually better known as the sort of fathers of film, they were working on a color process. And it's interesting because even though they are the fathers of film, Louis Lumiere said his proudest invention was the autochrome, by effectively creating color photography. So from about the 1890s, they're continually experimenting and refining a color process. And they eventually come up with this idea of a screen plate process, which was based on Louis Ducos-Duran's experiments in the sort of 1860s. But basically it means that you have a plate which will have a mosaic of different colors. And in this case, with an autochrome, that's red, blue, and green. And when certain sort of elements of those red, blue, and green are illuminated or blocked, it will create different colors. So, you know, red and blue will combine and create purple. But these potato starch particles is what they ended up deciding to use to create this mosaic. So it is quite complicated, and I find it astounding that that's what they ended up deciding. But they have these potato starch granules that are incredibly minuscule. So there's thousands upon thousands on one plate. So when you have a plate, it will be spread with these randomized blue, red, and green potato starch granules. And that's what creates the color, because they're dyed different colors. And when it's illuminated, different elements of the sort of red, blue, and green will be illuminated and or blocked, and you'll get the colors of the scene. But it's not doing it directly through the plate. It's actually your eye that optically blends it to be able to create those colors. So it is quite complicated, and it is based on color theory. So there was various ideas from like 1802 with Thomas Young, when he developed this idea about how the eye optically views color. And then in 1861, Maxwell and Sutton do this demonstration where they show that if any combination of red, blue, and green light can effectively blend to create all colors of the spectrum. And that's what we call additive color theory. And that's what sort of they were utilizing. So there's all these experiments from 1802 to eventually get this sort of first basically accessible color photography process that's released to the public in 1907. There were color processes before, but they were really complicated. Like they needed like a full understanding of all physics and light spectrum to effectively produce it. So the autochrome was actually the first that effectively anyone could put it in their camera and create a color photograph.
So one of the things now, you know, everybody poses for pictures every day, but at the time you would have had to pose for quite some time to do these exposures. So the process was different. How long did it take to take a picture like this?
Yeah, so I should say with an autochrome, you've got that color mosaic. And then to get the actual photographic image, you've got then another layer of gelatin silver on top, and that's what effectively blocks or lets the light come through. But because you've got all these layers, the plates are super thick, and that means exposures are super long. So whilst it's accessible, it isn't that accessibility that people were used to at the time with the Kodak snapshot, which comes out in, the 1888, is effectively, you've got basically instant photography. Whilst with an autochrome, the exposure was about 60 times longer, and sometimes in like dark conditions, it could be up to 3 hours. So there were sometimes these records where they were talking about how they were trying to photograph natural history specimens, and it took them 3 hours, which was just, it seems ridiculous to us say, but people were so excited by the possibility of color photography that they were happy to kind of engage with these long processes. But that's why the vast majority of autochromes are often beautiful flowers or gardens rather than people. And if you do see people, sometimes if they're children, you'll see their legs are moving, or they move their head and it will be a bit out of focus.
Wow.
At the time, there were millions of these photographs, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they estimated there was about 52 million or so produced, but they're quite rare today. They're really hard to find in collections.
And, how many do they estimate, or do you estimate, or exist now?
Based on my research, there's big collections at the National Geographic in America, and then here in France, there's of course the Albacan collection, which has over 70,000 plates each. But if you take those into hand, and then the other sort of collections that I've been able to sort of research across the world, only a few 100,000 I've been able to sort of effectively piece together. And I think that's because autochromes, by virtue of the fact they're incredibly light sensitive, but also they're on glass, so they're super fragile. A lot have been destroyed or faded to nothing and been disposed of over time.
And some of them you say that you had in the collection had some damage. Do you repair the damage when you photograph them again? Or do you, as a conservator, how do you think about the image now?
So I worked with a really brilliant conservator at the V&A called Stefan Jamieson, and we talked a lot about ways of preserving the autochromes. And basically, the only thing that you can do if they've cracked, which does happen, if it's cracked on the image layer, which is where the image is, a lot of autochromes, they actually adhered through tape, another layer of glass to protect the emulsion. But if that layer of glass is broken, that's fine. But when the image layer is broken, the only thing you can do is basically wedge those layers in together again between glass. So you've got this quite heavy plate. Because interventions like using sort of glue, which I have seen done, because glue has that wetness to it, it can actually damage the autochrome plate. So there's that real element with autochromes that once it's broken, there's not much you can do. It's incredibly difficult to basically preserve them once that occurs. So that's why it's so important with the publication that I worked on to try and show them as realistically possible as we could to size and that, because we can't get them out as easily for the public because they're so fragile.
Were they all taken in this geographic region? Were they all taken in one place? The ones in your collection?
At the Victoria and Albert Museum, most of the autochromes, it was very much within that British context. But there was a photographer who I am endlessly fascinated by called Helen Messenger Murdoch, who was American, but spent quite a significant part of her life in Britain. And when she was 51 in about 1913, she decided she was going to go travel the world and photograph it in color. So she's quite significant because not only is she taking these photographs across the world, and she was a woman photographer as well at that time, independently doing this, so quite a rare thing at that time. But she was great because in the sense that she discussed how she took these photographs across the world, so using a tripod, and then in India how she had to create this cooling mechanism with the help of people there because it was too hot to process the plate. So you get a real insight into her working methods. But the autochrome is pretty well associated with the global West, in the sense that most production was in America, Britain, Europe, and then a few outposts in Australia and New Zealand. I tried to find sort of photographers who'd worked in Asia, and there were a few, but a lot of them had actually learned the process in America or in Europe.
What did it tell you about that time that these were all taken? You talk about Stiglitz saying that color would change the world, but that he's speaking later. Yeah. I mean, he's beyond, he's past this. And I don't know that I know he took a few pictures. That picture of Georgia O'Keeffe's hands is in color, I think, but not very many, you know.
Stieglitz, it's fascinating because I don't know if he was into the autochrome as much as he stated, or if he liked the fact that he could basically utilize the interest in it to heighten his profile. But when it comes out, he very quickly publishes in Camera Work, which was his sort of pictorialist journal, effectively like color is a reality, come and see me demonstrate it. You know, everyone should be amazed by it. It's so fantastic. And he does these demonstrations and has exhibitions at his sort of pictorialist gallery in New York. But then very quickly, to be fair, he quite dismisses the process. He finds that the autochrome in itself doesn't allow for him to do things like experimentation. A lot of early pictorialist photographs, you see them kind of scratching into the plate or blending the photographer and doing interesting things. You can't actually do that with the autochrome. So he talks about it being unable to sort of allow for his expressionist desires with the photographic medium. But what then I find really interesting is then it's really embraced by amateur photographers, and amateur at this time doesn't have that pejorative meaning that we now associate with people that had the money that they could practice photography. And he really, sort of photographers like John Simon Warburg and Helen Mestre-Murdoch, who I mentioned, they do all these amazing things with the autochrome. And that's actually the real insight that you get into society, because they're using it to photograph their family or their travels or their sort of domestic life, rather than this sort of artistic use.
And do you get insights into the time that we don't think of now? Were the people sort of thinking about the world in a different way than the way we think about it?
What I find really fascinating is people like Albert Kahn, who's this French philanthropist. He really sees the autochrome and its power to sort of effectively capture the world in color as integral to basically providing a sense of worldwide connection. And he views the autochrome as able to sort of capture different cultures across the world. He sends all these photographers out across, Ireland, Europe, and Asia to document the world in color, because he sees it as effectively a means of generating peace, because we can understand different cultures through color. So that's a really interesting way of thinking about the possibilities of a photographic media. Of course, he does this in I think early 1914, and there's World War I a few months later. But it's just, you wouldn't conceive of this sort of inherent belief in the power of color photography now, because we're just so used to it. But then people really see it as a really powerful means of doing so many different things.
And the subjects they chose to film, to photograph, like how do it's the beginning of photography, so how do they select what they're going to look at?
Yeah, so they were selecting basically all the subjects that we would select today, their family and still lives, domestic life and travel. But because of the restrictions of the autochrome, so things like exposure times being very long, the need for a tripod, having to stand still for a very long time, and the need for like really vibrant light, it meant that they had to quite restrict their subject matter. So that's why you get so many studies of basically still lives, of flowers, and people really respond to the fact that it's a color medium. You can produce color brilliantly, so why not photograph, flowers and gardens and things like that. So that's really the real popular subject matter. Of course, it was used for other things. So you actually see it be used for like medical conditions and scientific experiments, because it was being able to show that these things occurred because of this, or these sorts of structures occurred in the body, and we could actually document that through color, so like bruises or skin conditions, and use that for scientific or medical research.
Now, the pictures you sent us today, well, first off, the cover of the book, the person would have had to stand there for
I've got it here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is literally my favorite image in the whole collection. It was taken by F.A. Paniff, who was a chemist and did autochrome photography just as his kind of hobby. But he did it for about 30 years. He was absolutely obsessed with it, but only did it basically for his own practice. But you're right. He often worked with his daughter Eva, who's in this image, and she would have had to have stayed like that for a few good minutes. And you actually see, if it's not shown in the book, because I didn't want to wreck his sort of process, but he did it a few times with his daughter to get that straight image of her on the beach. Yeah.
Right. What are some of your other favorite images?
So there's a lot, because basically I had 350 images that I could choose for the publication, which was great. But from 2,500, that's quite quite a small number. So I have to admit, one of my favorites is this image, which is one of the ones I sent you, just because it shows people's real excitement around color photography. They're basically photographing, trying to shove as many colorful things as they possibly can into an image. And you've got, color swatches, your fruit, more color swatches, tartan material, as many colorful things as you can possibly get in there. But I also think there's a bit of a scientific element in that, is that they're trying to basically comprehend how it can reproduce color. So it's trying to see what is possible through putting that many into the image.
It's very early, so people are just experimenting with how to do it, Exactly.
A lot of the ads at the time said it was incredibly easy, just pop it in your camera and you've got a color photograph, but actually it did require quite a significant process. So once you took it out of the camera, you had to do an initial process, and you had to do a bleaching, and then do another basically process to create a full color positive image. So there was quite a few stages to actually get that final product. And you can see sometimes that they've messed it up or something. So there's an image in my chapter by Helen Messenger Murdoch where you can see here, but it's very muddy and the color's really bad, and that was taken in Singapore, which was then Malaya, and that's a very humid climate effectively. So when she's trying to produce this photograph, it's clear that something went wrong in that sort of temperature conditions, and she wasn't able to produce the color image that she desired.
But these people were like you called them, we're going to call them amateur, right? So where are they learning? It seems like it's such a very strenuous process for people to go through to get the photograph. And where were they learning? How were they even understanding how you're supposed to do it? What was that like a little bit?
So one of the things that was good about the collection I worked with was they were most of them members of the Royal Photographic Society. So they were able to basically draw on their fellow members of that photographic society. They would have regular meetings. They would have a journal that was published that gave them sort of tips around how to produce images or what was the best conditions like. But one of the things I found really fascinating is if you looked in actually the British papers, newspaper archives, general publications, even like quite regional towns out in, the Scottish Highlands, actually sometimes had little tips about the best way to photograph autochromes. And that sort of gives you a sense of the scope of which people were really fascinated by. It would say, don't photograph in windy conditions, which might be hard in Scotland, but don't do certain things. Like if you want to photograph a flower, take it indoors because it could move in the wind. So this was just general newspapers that were available quite easily on the street, but they still had these tips about the best way to produce color photographs.
Was it an expensive thing to do? Was this more of a hobby for upper class people?
Yes, it was an extremely expensive hobby for upper class people, basically. So a pack of 4 plates of autochromes was the same price as 10 monochrome plates. So that already gives you a sense of sort of the differentiation in price. And there was a tendency for them to go wrong. So you could have a few plates that go wrong. You have to already see that there's going to be quite a lot of experimentation that's required before you get a really good plate. So that gives you a sense of the costs involved. And that's why most autochrome photographers, like I mentioned, John Simon Warburg before, well, he's part of that very rich Warburg family. Helen Messenger Murdoch made all of her family money, was what enabled her to do it. People like F.A. Paniff had their quite distinguished scientific career, and that's what enabled them to pay for the autochrome plates.
So this image of the mother with the daughter or with the
baby.
Child,
the baby, mother with the baby.
It strikes me that this is the baby maybe isn't alive. Is that sort of what that photograph is about?
So it's really interesting you say that the baby is alive. That's a photograph by Henry Essenhigh Cork, who was incredibly established at the time for his photographs of flowers and natural specimens. But he took this really quite poignant image of his wife looking at their child. So that's that image. And you can see the child has a sort of coral necklace on, which was throughout time is sort of around sort of protection. But quite sadly, himself, his wife, both died of the Spanish flu. Their children survived, but he and his wife both passed away. So I find that image very beautiful. But when I think about it, I think about the fact that they both died of the Spanish flu. And I was writing this book during the COVID pandemic. So for me, I thought it was very sort of interesting that this sort of a similar condition was occurring with the pandemic at the time of these photographs' creation.
You know, the image of the woman with the umbrella, you know, it's slightly out of focus, and it feels like it's motion, which it probably is, but it has a very vibrant feeling to it. You know, what do you know about that image?
Yeah, that is one of my favorite. That's why we've got the massive reproduction of it next to it, because it is so beautiful. And I think it's doing quite a few different things here. You can, of course, see that he's trying to get this beautiful, colorful images and as many colors as possible, but very much a harmonious color scheme as well. So you've got this pinks and greens, and then the pinks and greens are also in the parasol that she's holding. And I think one of the reasons why he's purposely left it, he actually underdeveloped it a little bit. And also, I think he must have, because he was very particular, had a little bit of that movement there, was because he wanted it to look so much like a painting. So Warburg was a photographer who was so inspired by the painter Whistler, talked about himself as sort of being a Whistlerian photographer. And of course, Whistler was incredibly inspired by, you know, ukiyo-e and Japanese art and prints and paintings. So there's very much in this image, he's trying to effectively recreate that sense of a Whistler painting and get those sort of color scheme in, that sort of light painterly style, very light filled sort of composition. So that's very much what he's trying to do. And if you actually look at some of his other images in the book, the 2 pages before, they're basically an exact replica of Whistler paintings. There's one that looks just like Whistler's painting of his mother, and then the image before is nearly an exact replication of one of the Symphony in Whites by Whistler. So with this image, he's being a little bit more creative rather than just simply replicating, but still trying to give out that sort of sense of a Whistler painting. But it's very beautiful. It's very small as well. So the way it's reproduced is to the scale it is. That's what I wanted to do with the plates. So when you see it, you get this tiny little black piece of glass out, you put it on the light box, and this wonderful, colorful image comes to light. It is quite an experience. And
probably nobody's looked at that image in 100 years, you know, when you're looking at it.
Yeah, it's very early. It's a 1909, so it's only 2 years after the autochrome process is effectively out to the public, and October 1907 is when it's in Britain. So for Warburg to produce such a skilled, colorful photograph that's so harmonious and so beautiful, I think really is a testament to his skill at creating autochromes. But yeah, like you said, it probably was exhibited and then stored away, and it's one of those images that hasn't been seen for over 100 years. So very, very pleased to be able to be one of those people that able to have that experience.
So there's millions of photographs taken, and then they slowly fade away. You know, they sort of disappear. Today we all take pictures every day, but they're not stored on any medium. They're stored in these huge, you know, Facebook or whatever, you know, like we put our images up there, and we think of them as having some sort of permanence. But what is the fate of these autochromes tell us about permanence in terms of these photographs?
Well, in some ways, I guess you could argue that the autochrome possibly might have more permanence, just because people are trying to care for them so much. They're putting them in collections. They're basically a hard copy thing. We will care for them for the future. They're in optimal temperature conditions if they're in museums or galleries. And basically today we put things on, you know, we keep them on our phones, we'll have them on a hard drive, but there's the likelihood that, you know, these hard drives might not work in the future, or we don't even bother to back up our photographs on our phones, and they will just go off and, you know, basically be outdated. Whilst an autochrome, given it's a hard copy thing and people now care for it so much because it's such a precious and rare object, I guess you could argue that these things might have a longer lifespan than the photographs that we're taking today, because I think someone told me the other day, you know, 1 million photographs plus is taken like every hour or something in the world. And that's just where will all of these things go? We can't just keep storing them online. There's going to have to be some point where there's going to be an end point. And we're not printing photographs today as well. So there's always this sort of aspect where you don't have the hard copy thing.
You know, when we study history, we we tend to have things that help us look at them. We have letters, we have photographs, we have, people's recollections of certain periods of time. But this time that we're looking at in these photographs is really gone. There's nobody around that can tell us about that time. So does it say something about art and impermanence, just being able to time travel back and look at these photographs and get a view of the past?
Yeah, I think it does give you a view of the past. And I think what's really nice is some of these collections were family collections. So F.A. Paneth, the photographer who's I showed on the front cover of the book, that was his family's collection. And it shows really poignant moments of like his daughter's first steps and, what they thought was important in their life, pets or family connections or anniversaries, birthdays, all of these little moments. It does really allow you to step back in time and appreciate these sorts of quite perhaps insignificant in some ways, but very important at the same time to them, historical moments. And it does, because they're in color, you can connect with them in some ways a bit more. And you do get this real insight into a historical time through them.
But don't you also think that, because I was looking at the one with the family at the beach with like the wheel. I mean, it feels relevant that people still tend to document those, what we all might think are banal moments, but they have meaning for us. It's the same thing. I don't know that, are we documenting different, other than when we document social transgressions or something, we're still doing the same thing. Don't you think, or do you think? What is your point of view?
I 100% think if you go back to the, start of the photographic medium, we were very much documenting similar things. There's lots of photographs. If they had the money, families at the start of, with the start of the medium of photography, when it was very expensive, were photographing their newborn babies or photographing, family moments. And then you start seeing when photography becomes more accessible and cheaper, with things like tintypes at the beach. The reason they had tintype studios at the beach was because everyone wanted to photograph themselves at the beach, like you were talking about. And that's still something that we do today. And I think that's what's really nice with the history of photography and the photographic media, is you can kind of see that whilst things have changed, there's still this inherent sort of thread that carries throughout a lot of photographic media where we're drawn to capturing the same thing, part of our sort of shared humanity, I suppose.
The autochromes I've looked at before are the ones that are in the Library of Congress in the 40s, right? Yeah. And you almost feel like that's not that long ago. You could almost touch it, but not that we could, but you almost could touch it. These photographs are older, and the people in the photographs have grown up, passed away. Their kids might be around now, or their kids, the kids of the kids might be around now. So it really is a snapshot of just a completely other time. And I guess there's universal things that you can take from it, but there's also specific things that are about these particular photographs, because they are like time travel, and you don't know everything that's going on in the photograph. It really is, all that exists now is the photograph. It really strikes me about impermanence, about how important art is, and can we help it to survive longer and longer,
Yeah, I think that was what a lot of my work was trying to focus on, was about how do we make sure these things survive. And one of the big things was digitization and publication, because we don't want to be, as much as we want to encourage public accessibility, these are too fragile. So it's about trying to do things that will enable them to continue to live on and be widely accessible to people, because you talk about it being sort of a snapshot in time, and we want this to be able to reach people across the world, which we can do now with technology. Before, that just wasn't possible. So by having these works digitized and published, it means they can go across the world. But one of the things I found really interesting is what you were saying about we just didn't know what else was happening. And the thing that I tried to make apparent in the book was that these photographs were taken at a time when there was things like the Spanish flu, there was World War I, there was the rise of fascism, terrible colonial conflicts are all happening, but you just don't really get that sense at all.
Geez, it sounds like today.
Yeah.
That sounds like today, Kat.
Pretty well, yeah, no. Yeah. But you don't get that sense from the photographs. And I suppose you could argue you don't get that sense from, I guess, Instagram posts as well, because people were focusing on the things that they found beautiful or important to them, and you don't get that sense of the context through these photographs.
Now, did you do some sort of display of the images, and how have people responded by looking at them?
So yeah, we can't display the original work, so we had to kind of find means around this. So one of the things I did was a collaboration with Photo Oxford, where we reproduced them on opaque vinyl and put them in windows. So they kind of were like how they used to be displayed, because in the sort of 1910s, 1920s, they used to tack them onto windows to have them publicly shown. And it meant people also got a sense of that materiality of the glass. And then at Photo Lucca Festival, Photo Lux Festival, sorry, in Lucca, we had them shown as a sort of slideshow with an accompanying soundtrack, and that replicated how they were shown sort of in that similar period where people used to go and see them as sort of like a spectacle, and they'll be shown up and projected. One of the things I found really fascinating is people, don't often know that color photography exists at this time. They can't believe that there's these full color images from 1907 to about 1932 is when the autochrome stops production. And then the other thing is that once they are, people are just kind of fascinated and enamored. They just want to keep looking at them more and more and more, because I think, like you said before, they're this real snapshot into another time. So people just are so taken by them. But I think one of the issues and one of the things I'm exploring now is whether you can effectively ever exhibit a real sort of autochrome plate. I know they did this at the Met, but I think they only did it for 2 days in sort of this chamber that had no oxygen, and it was incredibly expensive, this sort of thing that was built specifically to show, I think it was a Stieglitz autochrome in that instance, and maybe one by Syken as well. So I'm kind of interested to see how people are approaching showing autochromes today.
Have you had a lot of conversations with other curators about, what's them comparing their collections, or just talking about the processes and things?
Yeah, so I spoke a lot with collections in the UK, because there's a few other collections. And my current research and why I'm here in France is to look at collections in France and try and understand autochromes in their original historical French context, but also how collections here are working with them today. And given the autochrome is a French invention, there's actually far more here in different collections. So they've got very different sort of policies. So the Musée des Arts Décoratifs, they've actually shown some of their plates before. So I'm kind of trying to really figure out ways in which these autochromes are in collections today, and what approaches people are taking to their long-term storage and survival and display.
And is it hard to get into those collections to look at them, or are people welcoming and understand the light sensitive issues?
Yeah, I think at the V&A we were very specific about our light sensitivity, and other collections are as well. But I think the early color photography sort of people are incredibly dedicated and excited. So they're always really willing to collaborate and discuss and talk about autochromes and ways forward. So I think it's a really great community, because there's this real desire to be able to share knowledge and try and figure out the best way forwards for these collections in sort of an international standard.
Well, Kat, thank you so much for doing this work, preserving all these images for us. Much appreciate you sharing your knowledge with us about how you came to do this.
For sure. Thank you so much for such a lovely conversation. Thank you.
Bye, you guys.
Be well.